Welcome back, everyone, to the High Tempo Sports Podcast, episode 81. Shout out to Kobe. Shout out to Calvin Johnson. Couple legendary
Shout
81s.
Jalen Rose.
I was going to say him, but today is Wednesday. Beautiful day today in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. It's like almost 50 degrees out.
Like I was like almost sweating on the car ride over
I've been
here.
wearing shorts all week.
Yeah.
Like outdoors.
Yeah, and we've been
it's
going to
still
like
been
hoop.
pretty chilly, but like it's just I don't know. I'm in such a better mood with the warm weather coming back.
Mm-hmm.
It's March, easily the best sports month. As you know, the NBA is like getting towards the end of the regular season. The All-Star break usually isn't as late as it is this year, obviously. But college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's safe to say for the both of us, but I mean I don't know, I guess for you, but March Madness is easily my favorite like time of any sport.
Oh, easily.
More than NBA Finals,
Yeah.
more than college football playoff, more than the Super Bowl. Like, I love March Madness.
It's nuts because some of my best memories are like sitting in class with my phone propped up and sitting there and just kind of peeking at March Madness out of the corner of my eye. All class.
I remember in Volk, my junior and senior year, that's all we did was watch at Mount Pleasant. All we did was watch March Madness on our computers because you could easily get it on the computers.
I think we watched in class one day UMBC versus Virginia.
Oh.
Whatever teacher I had turned it on.
I watched the first half of Michigan State get beat by Middle Tennessee.
I remember
in
that.
Fletcher's classroom. Remember that freshman year. Never forget.
I mean, I think Leppert pulled. He's like, "This is history being made."
Yeah, and then I went home. I remember it precisely. I went home, ate a bowl of chicken noodle soup, and they lost. And I was just so watched it by myself.
My heart broke.
Just it was awful. Awful day. Hopefully I'd never have to relive something like that. But yeah, so that's what the theme of today's episode is going to be. It's going to be about March Madness. Mainly the Big Ten. The Big Ten, is really hot right now. There's just a lot of big time games going on in the last week in the Big Ten, and the next week conference tournament coming up. And we figured, why not do our top 10 players in the Big Ten this year? Big Ten is easily the best conference in college basketball. There's guys that I have snubbed from my top 10 that would be top 3 players in other conferences.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
I mean, the Big Ten is legit so much fun to watch because anybody can beat anybody any night.
Yeah.
And it's just, and we've seen it the last couple weeks. I mean, Illinois lost. What they didn't lose last night, but
lost to
Illinois,
State.
Ohio State's lost twice in the last week.
They lost 3 in a row.
3 in a row. Michigan State's on a run. I mean, you never know what's going on in the Big Ten. So this is gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, like how State, they won 2 top 5 teams back to in 48 hours, won against 2 top 5 teams as an unranked team, and then went and lost to Maryland. A couple days after. It's just like anything can happen in the Big Ten. But before we get into that, let's hop into the news. Before we do that, so first thing on the news. J.J. Watt, after parting ways with the Houston Texans, he is not technically like a actual free agent, like a one where he has to wait for free agency to start since he was released while he was under contract. So he could sign whenever. He signs a 2-year, $31 million contract with the Arizona Cardinals, which was kind of came out of nowhere, I guess.
Yeah, no, this really surprised me because I was a firm believer. I really thought he was going to take a pay cut and go to Pittsburgh.
I thought it was Pittsburgh, Green Bay, or Cleveland, and that's kind of what it seemed like. Cleveland kind of was starting to become the front runner, honestly, and thankfully for Willie, it's good that he went to Arizona. I'm happy he didn't go to Green Bay, so I'm fine with him going to the Cardinals.
Yeah, and the edge rush that they now have with him and Chandler Jones is nuts. I mean,
especially if they
incredible.
can bring back Hassan Reddick too. Like the Cardinals have a nice. I mean, that NFC West now has J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, and Nick Bosa.
If I'm
and
Russell Wilson, I'm
said
getting
that
out.
he doesn't have enough protection.
Yeah, at this point, I wouldn't blame Russell Wilson for
Good luck,
taking a
Matt
trade.
Stafford.
Yeah,
Poor
guy.
At least, he's had to play against some pretty good. Khalil Mack the last couple years. So
Clay Matthews.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He kind of played.
Still though, just a very good defensive player. Yeah. But yeah, J.J. Watt goes to the Cardinals. One of their 99 was a retired number for Arizona, but they're unretiring it for J.J. Watt. It was one of their running backs from a long time ago wore that number, and his daughter gave J.J. Watt the blessing to take that number. So
that's awesome.
Shout out to him reuniting with DeAndre Hopkins. So next on the news, moving to some NBA. The Atlanta Hawks, a team that has kind of been disappointing this year, but the team that's been very riddled with injury, fires their head coach Lloyd Pierce. And kind of out of nowhere, very, very surprising. Nate McMillan is going to be the interim head coach, and I think that they want him to be the head coach of the future as well. he was the Pacers coach for the last couple years and kind of was surprisingly fired this offseason, and now is back as a head coach again. But yeah, very just interesting here because I know Lloyd Pierce is a fan favorite in Atlanta. I know a lot of in the community, he does a lot for that city. He was one of the first coaches to hop on with Black Lives Matter and everything and does a lot for the city of Atlanta. But obviously this was a basketball move more than a outside of basketball
move. Well, this really surprised me because I was sitting there, I was playing 2K with Jagger, and Jagger looks at his phone and goes, the Hawks just fired their head coach. I said, the Hawks? And yeah, the Hawks have been struggling, but I just didn't expect that to happen.
I mean, yeah, they've been struggling, but like they haven't had their full team. Like
ever.
They haven't had their full team that they built this offseason just because of injury. I'm surprised. I figured this would be an end of the season type thing, but obviously there's probably some stuff going on behind the scenes. Nate McMillan is maybe it was more of they wanted him to become their coach rather than they don't want Lloyd Pierce to be their coach. So I don't know. I was definitely surprised by it though. We'll see if this changes anything for Atlanta, if they start to play better or not, but I just feel like he didn't get a good enough shot, I guess. Like he's only been there he only had 2 full seasons there. This is his, he's had a half season this year too. So like,
well, I bet a big part of this was actually keeping your star happy with Trae Young. Trae Young, the only reason he didn't make the All-Star game this year was because of his wins, and his team isn't good enough. So I think Trae Young might be upset in the locker room.
Maybe. I don't know if it just always sucks that it always happens. The coach is always the first one to take the blame and take the heat and get fired for it, which is just like,
it's not always the coach.
It's not always, but it's just that's just how it is in not just the NBA, in all sports. It's just you go at the coach first. So it's whatever. But hopefully Nate McMillan can do good things in Atlanta. Next, we have the dunk contest and 3-point contest candidates were announced. You know who they are?
I didn't see this at all.
So they got announced. Obviously, we know who's in the All-Star game and everything, but the All-Star day is going to be weird because usually they have Friday night is the Rising Stars game along with the celebrity game. Saturday is the dunk contest, 3-point, and skills, and then Sunday's the game. But they're doing it all on Sunday this year. So this upcoming Sunday, the 7th, I think it's the 7th, they will have the skills challenge and then the 3-point contest and then the All-Star game. And then during halftime of the All-Star game is the dunk contest.
Really?
So it's just going to be all like jam-packed, which is cool.
Yeah.
But the dunk contest only has 3 people in it this year instead of 4, which kind of sucks. I would like them to have 4, but it's whatever. A couple of rookies in here. Obi Toppin is kind of the big name in this dunk contest. And then Anthony Simons is in it from the Portland Trailblazers, a guy who I did not know had hops.
I didn't know he could dunk like
I knew
that.
He could dunk. Like, obviously, he's, he's only like 6'3", but obviously I knew he could dunk. But I didn't know he had, like, dunk packages, I guess.
Like a dunk contest bunny. So there's a difference.
Yeah. And then a true known dunker, Cassius Stanley of the Indiana Pacers, a rookie this year, played at Duke last year, but in high school had some crazy dunks, a lot of comparisons to Vince Carter just because he went to Sierra Canyon where Vince Carter went and everything. So
holy moly, talk about a young dunk contest.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a vet in there.
It just sucks because, like, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, usually the dunk contest there's never vets in it, but it just there really isn't like a top dog name in the dunk contest. And
I hate to say this, but a good player.
Yeah,
like a really good
that's
player.
The thing. Like, there's good dunkers. Like Obi Toppin is a great dunker especially for his size. But I was like big on I wish Zion was in it. Like, obviously I wish Zion was in it, but he's in the All-Star game, and the dunk contest is taking place at halftime of the All-Star game, so that would probably affect it a little bit. But I know that they asked him to be in it, and he said he was thinking about it. I assume he ended up saying no. Miles Bridges was asked. He declined. A couple other top like dunker guys that you would expect to get asked declined, but I forget who.
I mean, they didn't ask Aaron Gordon this year. There's no way.
Yeah, but and Zach LaVine said he's never going to do it again. There was somebody else, man. I forget who it was that got asked. No, it was Jaylen Brown got asked to be in. Or no, not because Jaylen Brown's in the 3-point contest. I don't know who it is. I wish Jalen LeCue was in it, but
yeah, I wish Miles Bridges would have done it.
Me too.
I'm a huge.
Or
Miles
even just
Bridges
like a Derek Jones Jr. get him back in it. There's Dennis Smith Jr., Donovan Mitchell, but it's whatever.
Donovan Mitchell has one dunk,
but he's in the but he won the dunk contest a couple years ago. And then the 3-point contest is loaded though. We have Zach LaVine, who was in it last year, back in it this year. Steph Curry, obviously in it. Both of the Celtics, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, are both in it, so they're both just getting way more love than they deserve. Donovan Mitchell is in the 3-point contest, and Devin Booker is in the 3-point contest.
Moly.
So pretty loaded, pretty stacked lineup there. None of like the guys none of the fan favorite guys you like to see.
Duncan
no
Robinson.
Joe Harris, no Duncan Robinson, no.
You could probably throw Tyler.
Who's
Hero
that dude
in
on the
there.
Wizards? Garrison Matthews, that other white guy they have.
This really
Tyler Hero. Like, I mean, I know he doesn't deserve it, but like,
Yeah.
It would be great publicity for the NBA.
It's so weird that they didn't like. I mean, there's not no top shooters in the league in there because the top shooters should be
Steph Curry.
But Joe Harris, Seth Curry, Wayne Ellington.
Yeah. Okay. Wayne Ellington is he's not a top shooter in the NBA anymore.
I guess.
But I mean, these guys are all
really
other than
good.
Devin Booker, they're all shooting about 40%
Yeah.
from 3 this year. So, and they're well-known guys. So, and then in the skills challenge, the 6 we have like they do the 3 like front court players and the 3 back court players. So for the 3, or actually no, they didn't do it like that this year. There's only 2 guards in here. Usually it's guards versus forwards, but we have Luka, Chris Paul, Robert Covington is in it, which is just kind of random. Julius Randle, Domantas Sabonis, and Nikola Vucevic.
Holy moly!
Didn't Bam win it last year, or was that 2 years ago?
Might have been 2 years ago, but I remember that. That's a star-studded skills challenge.
Yeah, usually the skills challenge is pretty. I'm surprised Chris Paul's in it because usually it's a lot of guys that are like first-time All-Stars. Like last year, it was like Bam. I think Sabonis was in it last year too. A lot of like just up-and-coming stars are usually.
I feel
in
like
it.
it's like a rite of passage.
Yeah, kind of.
thing.
But Chris Paul's in it and Covington's in it, just kind of random. But Luka, obviously. I want a prediction right now. Who's winning all 3 of them?
Oh man, 3-point contest. It's gonna be Steph, first year back. Add to his MVP case.
Okay.
Skills challenge. I'm gonna go with Vooch just because
I like that pick. I like pick.
Vooch. And then what's the third one that I'm guessing?
Dunk contest.
Oh, dunk contest. I'm gonna go with Anthony Simons.
Going with the sleeper.
Going with the sleeper.
I'm gonna go with for 3-point contest. There's no way I'm picking any of the Celtics. It's kind of between low key. I'm gonna go with Zach LaVine for the 3-point contest. I feel like Zach LaVine could win it. Yeah, I was thinking between LaVine or Donovan Mitchell, but I'm gonna go with LaVine. Skills challenge. I'm gonna go with Sabonis for the skills challenge. And then dunk contest, I'm going to go with Cassius Stanley, just because I feel like he's got the best package.
Yeah, he might.
Creative package, at least.
The short, I don't think there's much of a chance for Obi Toppin. The big guys just aren't.
Obi Toppin could, but yeah, it's so tough to win the dunk contest as a big guy because you're just known for doing like postering guys. You know, like the dunk contest is more of like you have crazy
quick
packages.
hands.
Yeah, like that's why I think Cassius Stanley, just because he's a
between the
dunker.
legs
Like he is known as a dunker. Yeah. So, but we'll see. So are we ready to hop into some Big Ten talk?
Yeah.
So last night, Michigan took on number 4 Illinois, top 4 matchup in Ann Arbor. No Ayu Dosunmu for Illinois. Doesn't matter. Illinois goes on the road and gets a huge win, 23-point win against the number 2 team in the country, a team in Michigan that has looked unstoppable all year. I mean, what are we thinking about it?
So I didn't get to watch much this game. I was at my own practice, but coming back and watching the highlights, there was not many Michigan highlights. Talking to people who watched the game, Michigan wasn't even running sets, as I heard. And it was a lot of ISO ball, not a lot of passing, and it just didn't look good. Which is scary because Michigan State's been rolling lately. They're playing well. So going into those 2 back-to-back games, I don't want to say I expect a split, but I would not be surprised if it was a split. This is scary right before the tournament, but there's still a lot of time to turn it around before the actual tournament.
Definitely.
So I'm not too worried about it. And 2 losses, I'm pretty okay with 2 losses.
Exactly. It does suck having a loss like this come so late in the year, just because this is against a team that without their best player, without one of the best players in the entire country, Ayu before injury was a candidate for player of the year, maybe even a favorite for it. So, but yeah, it's a tough loss. Michigan just definitely didn't really look like Michigan in this game. I mean, it was really weird, honestly, just because their offense just looked really stagnant. They weren't, like you said, they weren't running a lot of sets. They were settling for a lot of poor shots. And one thing that Michigan does really well is get points off turnovers. They're very good in transition, and that's something that they didn't get much opportunity to do in this game. And it also, I mean, Illinois was hitting a lot of shots. Trent Frazier was going off. Adam Miller hit a lot of big-time shots. Curbelo, their young freshman guard, he went off. And Dickinson was in foul trouble as well for most of the game, too. So, I mean, it's just wasn't a very good game for Michigan. And I don't want to say I hope they can bounce back because they're playing State. And
I'm a big thing. If you let Kofi Coburn dunk it, and he had a couple dunks the other night, you don't have a very good shot of winning. That fires up Illinois a lot.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, he also gets, like, at least 3 dunks a game, though. So,
but I think if you're going into the game against Illinois, your goal should be to stop Kofi Coburn from dunking the ball. Because I think it's like taking a charge for any other team. It just fires you up so much.
Yeah. And then on after the Michigan game, like at 8, was the State versus Indiana game. I only watched the second half of this one because I was watching the Michigan game, but it was really close the whole entire game. They were going back and forth. And then in the late second half, Aaron Henry just took over, scored State's last 10 points, finished the game with 22 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, also had a super clutch steal late in this game. Aaron Henry has really, I mean, this sounds very biased, but I don't know if there's anyone in the Big Ten who's playing at a higher level than Aaron Henry is right now, as far as putting his team on his back and really just putting his team on his back and carrying his team. I mean, I don't think anyone else in the Big Ten is doing that.
I think the only guy who could have argued with that right now is the guy who's sitting out, Ayu Dosunmu.
Yeah.
He probably would have been playing great. We can't say that, but Aaron Henry has been balling. He had 0 turnovers last night. Mm-hmm. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. A guy who leads Michigan State in points, rebounds, assists, steals. Like,
he's making a name for himself.
He's definitely going to be a guy who's rising in draft stocks for sure, because he's a guy who I definitely think his game can translate to the NBA as a shooting guard, small forward type of player. So, we have huge games coming up. Michigan versus Michigan State in Ann Arbor tomorrow at 7 o'clock, and then on Sunday at 4:30 back in East Lansing for the rematch. I don't know. This is going to be tough.
It's going to be tough, and it's going to get pretty hostile between fan bases.
For sure.
All year we've been rooting for each other because we haven't had to play each other. We haven't disliked each other all year. I think that'll be quick to change here. But I'm rooting for good games.
Me too.
I love good rivalry games. There's so much fun.
At the same time, though, if State were to blow out Michigan, I'd love it.
Yeah, exactly. Or vice versa.
I'm not really rooting for anything other than a State win, honestly, at this, because State doesn't need to win, but man, it would be nice, because right now State is back into the last 4 in. They were on the first 4 out after their loss to Maryland, but after their win last night, they're in the first 4 in, or last 4 in, I mean, but yeah, they're just, if I was telling Easton this earlier, if State doesn't make the tournament, I think it's a joke just because of how good the Big Ten is this year. They've beaten 2 of the top teams, especially after Illinois beating Michigan last night.
That's huge.
State's win over Illinois looks so good because they had Ayu during that game where they dominated Illinois. And I'm not saying Michigan State is like way better than their record shows or anything, but they're just better than a lot of these random Pac-12 schools that are going to sneak in the tournament and everything. Like Xavier, them and Michigan State are both in the last 4 in. Like, yeah, I think it's safe to say Michigan State's better than Xavier.
And anybody who's making a bracket this year, take the Big Ten matchups. Like, I seriously think in most games where Big Ten is playing out of conference, you can take a Big Ten win.
Yeah, obviously there is some underlying factors depending on what team they're playing and everything. And I'm not, like, I assume there'll probably be a Big Ten team that will lose in the first round. But there's just going to be, I bet that come Sweet 16, we're naming off how many teams of each conference are in there. The Big Ten's going to have the most teams in the Sweet 16. We'll probably see some Big Ten head-to-head matchups in the tournament this year,
which is going to be crazy. Yeah, because if the Big Ten isn't heated enough already between the teams.
So this is kind of the main question right now. Does Michigan State have to sneak out one of these Michigan wins to make the tournament? From what the bracket is looking like right now.
No. They need to sneak out a win in their next 3 games, whether it be the first game of the tournament or one of these games against Michigan. As long as they get a win, they're in the tournament.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Indiana win kind of sets them.
A win in the Big Ten has so much more weight than a win in any other conference. Oh, yeah. It's unreal. The Big Ten's just so hard to win in. And like we said, when you get into this top 10, the amount of great basketball players in the Big Ten is nuts.
Yeah, and there's, like I said, I have a lot of top tier players in my snubs list that are honorable mentions of the top 10.
And a lot of these guys are good. A lot of these guys are great college basketball players. I don't see a lot of these guys translating well.
Oh, definitely not. Yeah, I mean, that's just how it is every year.
They're just so good. The Big Ten doesn't.
Because the reason why the Big Ten is so good is because there's not a lot of one-and-done schools in the Big Ten, if any. There's rarely freshmen that, like, top. You don't see a lot of top recruits out of high school going to the Big Ten, because you're going to the Big Ten, you're probably going to be there for at least 2 years, most likely. And that's why it's so good, because there's just a lot of really good players that stay longer in the Big Ten. And yeah, like I'm looking at my top 10 right now. Like if these guys were all to go to the draft, like maybe 3 of them get drafted, and they're not top picks. So like
it's pretty crazy. I'm so excited for March Madness.
Probably more than 3, probably like 5 or 6, but still, like they're not gonna be. They're gonna be all second rounders probably. But yeah, I don't think State has to. I mean, obviously, I want them to beat Michigan once. And Saturday when we do our podcast, we'll be able to talk after the first game, get ready for the second one. But let's do it. Let's hop right into this top 10 list. Do we want to
reveal honorable mentions?
Do we want to reveal honorable mentions or no? Just wait till the end, because I wrote down all the guys who I like think are legitimate honorable mentions, and I have 7 of them.
I have 3. I didn't write down every single one. I wrote down some guys I wanted to give some love to. But
so we're not gonna name them then?
No.
Okay.
Because I want to be surprised.
I mean, it's like okay, yeah, I guess.
Number 10, Isaiah Livers out of Michigan.
Whoa. Whoa.
You have to give love to Michigan and how good they are this year. 2 losses. You have to have some top 10 guys. So that's where Isaiah Livers sneaks in. He hasn't been unreal this year, but he's been very good.
That's a shocker.
Yeah, I know it is.
No, not that he's on the list, that he's at number 10.
You have him that much higher?
I have him much higher than
Oh, really?
10. He's on the he's a finalist for Julius Erving Small Forward of the Year on the best team in the Big Ten. Like, I think that's a top player in the Big Ten.
Maybe I'm not giving Michigan as much credit as they deserve.
I tried not to be biased in my list too.
I tried not to be biased, and I was like, because remember when he sat down, and we had to talk about who's the best forward in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
like we discussed it. It might not be Isaiah Livers.
It's close. I mean, we'll see once I get down to it, but. My number 10 is another Julius Erving small forward finalist, and that is Ron Harper Jr. out of Rutgers. He's averaging 15.5 points a game, 6 rebounds, about 2 assists, shooting 31% from 3. He ranks 9th in the Big Ten in points per game. He would be higher on this list if I did it about like 2-3 weeks ago, but Rutgers has taken a little bit of a dip.
He's actually, I'm gonna reveal, he was my first man out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like he's like I said, he's technically a top 5 small forward in all of college basketball this year, and it's having him 10th in his conference just sounds
crazy
wrong. But yeah, he's a great player, best player on Rutgers for sure, and his game could translate to the NBA for sure.
And I will reveal this. A lot of these guys have passed the eye test for me. It's been watching them. I didn't do as much stat. I looked at the stats.
Well, yeah, obviously I wrote down stats, but obviously this is all about the eye test too. Like that's why I think Isaiah Livers is a guy who his stats don't show how good he is.
My number 9 is a guy that going into this list I thought would be much higher, but then I remembered the games I watched of him. My number 9 is Trayce Jackson Davis, and when I watched him play, he's good, very good. He's averaging, 20 points a game?
Yeah, like 19 and a half.
19.4. Yeah. So he had to be on the list, but he looks good at times. He looks really, really good. And at other times, he struggles. I've got him at 9.
Our lists are much different.
I knew they would
Our lists are much different. I have a very different opinion on Trayce Jackson Davis, but I'll wait till once I get to him. My number 9 is another guy who plays kind of the same position as Trayce, plays that 4-5. It's EJ Liddell out of Ohio State. Liddell he's had a pretty good year, but kind of like how you were saying about Trayce, he's had his off games. He's averaging 16 points per game, about 7 rebounds, little over a block a game. He ranks 7th in points, 10th in rebounds in the Big Ten. He's part of a nice duo with him and Dwayne Washington in Ohio State. I like Liddell's game a lot, but in a big man loaded conference, he's not with the top dogs in my opinion. Like he's not in that. I don't think he's a top 3 big. And when I say big, I know he's not the center for Ohio State, but mean 4-5. He's not a top 3 big in the Big Ten, so I don't have him in there. But obviously he's in my top 10, so I am showing love.
I'm completely different about EJ.
Yeah,
Liddell.
I like EJ Liddell too, but I find
game.
other guys better, including Trayce Jackson Davis and Isaiah Livers. So
I love EJ Liddell's game like a lot. And you'll see, I like his game a lot. Number 8, I got the other Ohio State guy, Dwayne Washington, coming in here. His big games are big.
Yeah.
So he can't be left off because his games his big games are unlike anybody else's in the conference. When he goes off, he goes off. So I've got Dwayne Washington at number 8.
Okay. Dwayne Washington was one of my snubs.
Really?
Which is tough. I mean, this is a big man loaded list just because, I mean, the Big Ten is the best big man conference in college basketball. So, and number 8, I'm adding to that another big man here, and it's Trayvon Williams out of Purdue. He was a finalist for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Award. A guy who every time plays against Michigan State goes off. One of the best post players in the Big Ten. I know when you think of post guys in the Big Ten, you're thinking of Garza, Coburn, Hunter Dickinson, but Trayvon Williams, his footwork is insane. He's averaging 15.5, 9 rebounds, shooting 52% from the field, 8th in the Big Ten in points and 3 in rebounds. He's a good at passing out of the post too. That's why I like his game a little bit more than like a Liddell, because he is a little bit better of a playmaker. And so I'm got Trayvon Williams at 8.
Trayvon Williams is a guy that is one of my first guys off the list.
Really? Wow, that's crazy.
And I haven't watched a lot of Purdue basketball, so that does play into it. So I didn't want to make an opinion about the guy that I hadn't really watched.
I get that.
So he's off the list, but maybe if I watched him a little more, I would think differently.
He's fantastic. I like Trayvon Williams a lot. Like I would love if he were to just some reason transfer to State next year.
Some crazy reason.
We could use a nice big transfer next year.
My number 7, hottest player in Big Ten basketball, like we discussed, it is Aaron Henry. He's been balling, and you can't deny it. Like, literally, when I watch Aaron Henry, I am shocked at the difference from watching him to the start of the season to the end of the season. Because the start of the season, he was invisible.
Up. He wasn't invisible. He just wasn't doing what he was expected. He was playing like he did last year, which
he didn't step up. He didn't take that step.
That's the thing. A lot of people like to say Aaron Henry has started off the year so bad, and now he's playing so well. Like, he's made this crazy jump. Like, no, he really hasn't. He never was playing bad this year. He just wasn't playing like he was expected to. He was playing like he did last year, where he was pretty good last year, but he was also the 3rd or 4th option on the team. This year, he needed to step up and be the 1 option, and he obviously has been doing that over the last 2 months, but
he took that leap.
Yes,
in the middle
he definitely did. And I assume Izzo probably got into him a little bit. Like, let's go. I also have Aaron Henry at number 7, actually, which is surprising. We have one of the same. There's a lot of guys averaging right in the 15-point-something rank in points. He's averaging 15.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, with over a steal or 1.3 steals and 1.3 blocks per game. I looked and I couldn't find anyone else who's averaging that at least a block and a steal in the Big Ten, which is
really
unless there's one that I just couldn't find.
That's crazy.
Shooting 45% from the field. He does only shoot 28% from 3, but he doesn't attempt many threes. He'll shoot 2 or 3 a game, so I'm fine with that. And like I said, he leads Michigan State in almost every single category. If not, other than blocks, he leads in all of them. So he definitely deserves a spot in this top 10.
And let me tell you, watching him, he's an easy guy to root for because of the way he plays. He plays so hard all the time, and I love watching it.
On both sides of the ball, too.
Yeah. My number 6 is the guy that I felt like you disrespected a little bit, E.J. Liddell. I'm a huge E.J. Liddell fan. Watching him step out and hit some threes really surprised me. And he is just a bully down low, even though he's a 4.
Yeah, he shoots 35% from 3.
Yeah, and I love EJ. I liked watching him a lot. And he's a lot more likable of any of those.
He is. That, I don't really like Dwayne Washington, really. Even though he's cold. Like, he for sure is cold. I just don't like him. But that makes a lot of sense. EJ Liddell is a very likable guy, surprisingly. Yeah, very. Because that whole Ohio State team is just, like, not likable. Like, they play they talk a lot of shit. They make you really not like him, but EJ really just does. He seems like he doesn't fit in with them. Yeah. Like, he seems like he's like a Wisconsin type.
He's
guy.
Probably an outsider there.
Even though I hate Wisconsin too. So, I had EJ at 9, but my number 6 is a guy who I feel like you might not know. You definitely have him on here, but I have Hunter Dickinson at number 6.
What? You thought I didn't have him?
Okay, but I was just starting to think like. You had so many guys under him that I was like,
I think Hunter Dickinson's unreal.
Yeah, Hunter Dickinson is a very good, definitely going to win Big Ten Freshman of the Year, running away with the award. Averaging 14.5 points, about 8 rebounds a game, a block and a half, 60% from the field. He ranks 15th in points per game and 7th in blocks in the 7th in rebounds, 3rd in blocks in the Big Ten. But Dickinson, especially in his recent games, I mean, against Illinois last night, that one's a little different. He got in foul trouble, but he's a guy who locked up Luka Garza the other night, and his defense is actually much better than I thought.
Me too.
He is not. I mean, this is an obvious statement, but he's not a good pick and roll defender. He's, you can't switch. He's got to stay on the big the whole time, and his numbers don't jump out of the roof. But he's also a guy that gets tired very fast and can't. He doesn't play really as much minutes as you'd think he would. Like,
do you have his field goal percentage by any chance?
Yeah, he shoots 60%.
Holy moly!
Third in the Big Ten in field goal percentage. But yeah, he's like I said, he doesn't play as much minutes as you think he would. But it's also he's a freshman, and like I said, his stamina is not the best. So, but he's also 7'1", so you'd expect that. But yeah, he's fantastic. Definitely easily best freshman in the Big Ten this year.
My number 5 is a guy who...
And I'm also surprised that you have Dickinson over Isaiah Livers. I definitely think Isaiah Livers is the best player on Michigan.
Oh, I don't. Not this year.
You don't think so?
Isaiah Livers might lead the team better, but I don't think he's a better player than Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah, he's definitely a better leader. That's no debate, but I would still take Livers over Dickinson. Right now, yes.
I don't think so.
I for sure would.
Not me, no.
I would. No. But that's just my opinion.
My number 5, he's a guy
top 5
who might be a little low, but he's still top 5. So this guy is still getting respect.
Right.
He's balling this year. Marcus Carr is killing the game. Scoring 20 points a game, shooting the ball efficiently, and one of the best guards in the Big Ten, no doubt. I like Marcus Carr's game a lot. Haven't gotten to watch him a lot this year, though. So
Marcus Carr did not make my list. I know he's...
What?
I mean, he scores a lot of points, but I mean, his team is not very good.
Yeah, and that's why I have him at 5.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's that great. Who's that guard from Nebraska? He's average. He's 5th in the Terry. I think is his name.
White or something.
He scores a lot. I like Marcus Carr. He's on my snub. He's my second snub I wrote on here, but I don't know. I don't really think he's top 5, but he definitely is definitely an honorable mention. My number 5, this is where I have Isaiah Livers. Number 5, like I said, 14 points a game, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. The thing that jumps off the page, though, is he shoots 45% from 3, which is fantastic. Hits a lot of big shots for Michigan, and best player on the best team in the Big Ten, deserves a top 5 spot.
It's crazy how much we look at Hunter Dickinson and Isaiah Livers differently. It's actually pretty crazy coming from just different standpoints. I don't disagree with you that you think Isaiah Livers is better, but I really think Hunter Dickinson's better. Hunter Dickinson's nuts. Hunter Dickinson requires so much attention on the floor when he touches the ball. The moment he touches the ball.
And he's really good at catching the ball, too.
Yeah, which is
especially off offensive rebound. His hands are just...
Yeah. What a weird thing that we talk about. It feels like every time we watch, it's how did he catch that?
I know, he always does.
He catches everything.
A rebound, he'll reach over a guy and just grab it. Yeah. It's just what the hell? How do you do that?
And that's why he is my number 4 best player in the Big Ten. Hunter Dickinson's unreal. I am kind of getting nervous after last game. It's a little bit different. I am getting nervous that he's been balling all year. He could be one of those guys who surprises everybody and goes to the draft and just says, screw it. I'm just going to go. Do I think it'll happen? No, but it could.
I don't think he will, yeah, because
every year there's still surprising guys, though, who just surprise everybody in the league.
He might declare for the draft and then not end up going, kind of how Aaron Henry did last year. A lot of guys do that anyways, just to test to see what scouts are thinking about him and everything. Yeah. My number 4 is a guy that you had very low. It is Trayce Jackson Davis. I've actually gotten to watch a lot of him this year because Indiana, for some reason, played on Saturdays a lot, and I would watch them every time I would go to my parents after the podcast. But Trayce Jackson Davis is just a phenomenal scorer. He really is. He's such an athletic big. I think that's why I prefer him over Hunter Dickinson and Trayvon and EJ Liddell, because he can bully you inside, and he can also take you off the dribble and blow right past you and finish at the rim. A super good lob threat. And the reason why I have him so high is because he averages 20 a night off of, he does not get as much touches as he should. Last night in the game against Michigan State, he was very emotionally upset because he got pulled from the game with 3 fouls, but he thought he should be in because it was less than 10 minutes left in the game. He had 3 fouls, was on the bench. I know him and Archie Miller have had their moments this year because of his, like I said, his lack of touches. So that's why I think he is a top 4 player in the Big Ten. Also ranks 4th in the Big Ten in points, 2nd in rebounds, 5th in blocks.
His shooting percentage has to be pretty good, too.
52%, yeah, it's pretty good.
And I assume
he doesn't shoot threes.
Yeah. And he is so athletic. He had that dunk against Michigan where I was like, holy shit. But then it got overshadowed by Isaiah Livers that same game.
So it looks like we're probably going to have the same top 3, not in order, but
order, I think.
I assume we're going to have the same 3 players.
Yeah. My number 3 is Kofi Coburn.
Yep.
Been a baller all year and just showed out against Michigan. Granted, he didn't have a great game, but he had a game.
Yeah.
A good game against the number 2 team in the country. And it's hard to have an insane game when you have a guard scoring 22 points. Mm-hmm. So he played very well. Dunks. I mean, he's just electric, and he is so big.
Such a large guy.
He's got to be impossible to move out there.
Oh, I know. I also have Coburn at number 3, 17.5 points a game, 10 boards, little over a block, shooting 66.5% from the field, which is first. He also is first in rebounds, 5th in points. Illinois' got 2 guys in the top 3 in the Big Ten. Like, their duo is nasty.
Nuts.
But yeah, Kofi is he's like you said, he's a force to move. Even Hunter Dickinson couldn't stand up to it. A guy who really was doing a great job against Luka Garza, So, but Kofi is he reminds me a lot of DeAndre Ayton just because of how large he is.
Those shoulders, man.
His shoulders are huge. His wingspan is very long. I still really don't know how Michigan State shut him down. I really don't.
It's a mystery to everybody.
I really hope we don't have to play them again.
What's crazy is it's a mystery to everybody how you shut them down.
I know how. We were just rotating. Yeah. We had fresh legs on them at all points. We were doubling like crazy, letting them shoot. They weren't hitting their shots. So, we played a strategic defense against him, but he still probably had 16 and 10, but he just didn't. He didn't go off.
Yeah,
I thought he'd have 30. Yeah. But yeah, Coburn is excellent.
He's elite.
He's a finalist for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Center of the Year award, so he deserves it.
My number 2, I don't know if this is a surprise. I don't know what you got at number 2. I have Luka Garza, who, if you would have asked me 2 months ago, who the best player in the Big Ten was, it is easily Luka Garza at the start of the year. And Luka Garza's been great still, but he has had his moments where it's like, is he even on the floor right now? What is he doing? Yeah. And him in the pick and roll is awful. Teams really pin him and pick him out and say, let's run the pick and roll. He's very slow.
And that's the thing where the difference between him and Hunter Dickinson defensively is that Hunter Dickinson struggles getting up the floor, but Luka Garza struggles even more getting up the floor. And obviously Dickinson is 2 inches taller than Garza, which helps.
I think he's a lot longer.
Yeah. He definitely
looks a lot longer.
Garza is a post player. Obviously, offensively, Garza is, I think, easily the best player in the Big Ten offensively. Because he now he has a consistent 3-point shot.
Yeah.
If like you said, 2 months ago, Garza is easily the best player in the Big Ten. I think he was running away with Naismith Player of the Year award as well, Wooden Award, whatever it is. But I also have Luka Garza at number 2. He's fantastic offensively. Like I said, defensively, he has his issues, like mainly in the pick and roll. But he can shoot the ball lights out now. Like he's shooting 45.5% from 3 this year.
That's nuts.
Which is unreal. Obviously, he's first in the Big Ten in points per game, averaging about 8 rebounds a game, block and a half, 2 assists, shooting 55% from the field. One of the better players to come through the Big Ten that I've ever gotten to see, for sure.
Mm-hmm. He's nuts. He reminds me a lot of Frank Kaminsky in his senior year.
He's even bigger than him though. He's slower.
The post game.
I get what. His definitely comparison is Frank Kaminsky, but I just don't like Luka Garza though. Honestly, I'm not a fan of him, bro.
I do not. My number 1, I think he's the best leader in the Big Ten. Ayu Dosunmu. He is unreal when he plays for Illinois, and Illinois is. I think everybody in the country should be very afraid of Illinois when Ayu comes back.
Yeah,
very.
I think so too, because I think it's honestly kind of a blessing in disguise that he takes that he's going to be out until the tournament. Probably, I think he'll come back for the Big Ten tournament because it allows Curbelo and Trent Frazier and Adam Miller. They're all their 3 other wing/guard players to really step up and show what they can do so that they have depth going in once Ayu comes back. Ayu averages 21 a game, 6.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, over a steal a game, shooting 40% from three this year, which that was like his main concern was his 3-point shot. He's shooting 40% from three. I mean, he's first in the Big Ten in assists. He's top 5 in points per game. He's a very good guard. He is the like ideal guard that you want because he can run out there with. They can have Ayu out there with Trent Frazier and Curbelo because those guys are 6 foot tall, probably like 6'1" maybe. But Ayu's 6'5". He can guard the wings. I mean, him and Aaron Henry were matched up against each other in the Michigan State Illinois game. He's great offensively and defensively, and his ability to play make and score makes him the biggest threat in the Big Ten to me. And that's why I have him at number 1.
I think he's the most impactful player in the Big Ten.
Yeah, because he does it on all aspects.
Everything.
He does it all.
He's a great defender. Long 6'5" point guard. Are you kidding me? And he is long. He is not some little 6'5" point. He is a long guard. And I love watching him play defense. I love watching him get excited and watching him go up and dunk on dudes. Ayu Dosunmu is unreal.
The only thing that the only problem I've ever had with him, watching him play at least, is just again that Michigan State game. He lacked his aggressiveness, I guess. He wasn't playing very aggressive. He wasn't looking to attack the rim, which that's where he's most effective because he has so many options attacking the rim. He's so athletic where he can have a nice finish at the rim, or he has, the most giant player right there next to him where he can just throw a lob to him or dish it to him. And he has shooters around him that he can kick out to. So that was like the only, sometimes he doesn't play as aggressive as he needs to, but I don't think that will be a problem come tournament time.
Any clue where Ayu Dosunmu was supposed to get drafted?
It depends. In the most recent CBS mock, they have him going early, like 16. But he'll probably be a late first. I would be shocked if he fell out of the first round.
I would love if you're a team and you got a second round pick and you take Ayu, be excited.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he fell out of the first round, but he'll most likely be a 20s guy.
Yeah, that's what I would expect. That's what I assumed.
Uh-huh.
My other honorable mention, a guy that I just want to give love to, is Franz.
Yeah.
Franz has been playing very well recently. Really stepped up. I don't know how he did last night though.
No one really had a good game last night, but I don't really know the stats.
But Franz has been playing very good recently.
And we had a talk too about who's better, Franz or Aaron Henry.
Yeah.
And I think now, obviously we both agree it is Aaron Henry, but at one point I think it was Franz. And they both play different roles though.
Yeah. Franz
it's
is much
weird
more of a
they're similar
option.
players, but they also have much different roles for their teams.
It's hard to compare those two guys.
Yeah.
You have a number 1 option to a number 3.
Because Franz is a great defender, too. He's a great two-way player, and he's great at attacking the rim and hitting shots. Like, Franz was a guy that I honestly thought was going to be on this list. That's the thing. Going into this list, I thought, man, Michigan's going to have 3 players on here. Iowa's going to have at least 2. Like, Joe Wieskamp, I so thought was making my list. Best shooter in the Big Ten, probably. He is on the Jerry West Shooting Guard Finalist Award. Top 5 shooting guard in college basketball was a snub from my list, which is crazy. Like I said, Dwayne Washington was a snub. A couple of Wisconsin, Demetric Trice and Micah Potter, I both put on here for snubs.
I like Micah Potter a lot.
Yeah, I don't like Micah Potter.
Him.
Yeah, he's good, but I don't like him. And then, like I said, I had Marcus Carr on here, Dwayne Washington, and I put Liam Robbins on here from Minnesota as well. Leads the Big Ten in blocks. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that finishes up that list. Honestly,
Tough.
The Big Ten was so hard to rank as players because a lot of guys, like you said, we're comparing second options to first options because some teams have better second options than other teams' first options. So it's really hard, especially when you have 2 guys sitting up top like Kofi Coburn.
I am mainly just surprised about you having Livers at 10. That really shocked me. I figured he would be like at least top 7.
And I was trying really hard not to be biased.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I get that. And so was I. Like I had Trayvon Williams above Aaron Henry, and I was like, man, if I had to pick one of them to rather have, I'm rather having Aaron Henry. That's kind of how I went with. Like I wrote down, like I said, kind of how you did. I wrote down all the players who I think are in consideration, and it was the 17 players that I had, and I just kind of thought, man, which one would I rather have? Like who is legitimately just better? And yeah, that's
what you settled upon.
That's what I settled on. Yeah,
and it's just crazy how. I mean, we've grown up playing basketball for so long. We look at it so differently still. Yeah. And it's nuts how perspective can change.
Yeah. And there's like this list was tough because there's like no list like this on the internet to base it off of. There's not. Like I looked, and I kind of like that because it makes it 100% our opinion. Because I do like to base my list on other lists just to make sure I'm not saying anything stupid, you know? But yeah, this one was just it was tough to make a list for that. So sorry, Willie.
Willie calling
probably wants to play Fortnite or something. But yeah, let's go through the finalists for each of the position awards real quick. If you have not heard, each year there's a best point guard, best shooting guard, best small forward, etc. for the in college basketball, and they have 5 finalists every year. So let's go through them all and kind of figure out who we think is going to win each one. For the Bob Cousy Point Guard of the Year finalists, we have, this one is easily the most loaded one. Jared Butler out of Baylor, Jalen Suggs out of Gonzaga, Ayu Dosunmu out of Illinois, Cade Cunningham out of Oklahoma State, and Colin Gillespie out of Villanova. Very loaded. I think it will probably go to Jared Butler. Just because Baylor has dominated, and he went off against West Virginia last night. That game was that was probably game of the year, low key. Super good game, but yeah, I would think probably goes to Jared Butler here.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And I don't know though, it might go to Dosunmu got hurt.
I think it's between those two. I don't really see Jalen Suggs winning.
Probably not. He'll probably win. He'll win Freshman of the Year, like in general. But
yeah, it would be nuts if Jalen Suggs were to win it, just because he's a third option.
Yeah,
so it'd be pretty crazy.
But Dosunmu probably would have won it without, because Player of the Year is probably for sure going to go to Garza now that Dosunmu got injured. But I do think he could have had a shot at winning it all.
No, I definitely think so.
But I mean, it will be cool to see a Big Ten player win Player of the Year, I guess. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Jared Butler for that one.
Me too.
Jerry West Shooting Guard of the Year finalists. We have Maceo Teague out of Baylor, Joel Ayayi out of Gonzaga, Quentin Grimes from Houston, Joe Wieskamp out of Iowa, and Chris Duarte from Oregon. I'm going with Maceo Teague here from Baylor again, just because he dominated again. He hit so many threes yesterday for Baylor.
He is elite, and all of Butler is elite defensively.
Baylor,
Butler. It is crazy how good defensively that team is, because they've been that way for 2 years.
So well too.
I've actually watched a lot of film on Baylor's defense, and it is just, they're nuts.
And it's crazy that Davion Mitchell doesn't make any of these lists either, whether it's point guard or shooting guard, because, I mean, Davion Mitchell is probably he's going to be a point guard in the NBA, and they have 3 guards that they run in their starting lineup, and they're their 3 best players, and Davion Mitchell is easily their best defender, too, so I thought he kind of got snubbed from one of these lists, but I would probably go with Teague to win this one.
Yeah, me too.
Ayayi from Gonzaga is very good too, though, but he's like the 4th option there. Small forward, Julius Erving, Small Forward of the Year finalist. Corey Kisper out of Gonzaga, Isaiah Livers from Michigan, Ron Harper Jr. from Rutgers, Terrence Shannon Jr. from Texas Tech, and Sam Hauser from Virginia.
I just don't see how you can't give it to Corey Kisper.
Yeah, Kisper's he'll run away with the award.
Unreal.
He's so good from 3, man.
So good.
He's so fun to watch. He really is. Like,
he does everything right.
Yeah.
He doesn't make mistakes.
Because he's a fantastic defender, too. Like, he like, this sounds really dumb, right? Really dumb. Next, Klay Thompson, question mark. Is he, like, but that's the thing, though. What else is, like, who else? He's not like McDermott.
Yeah, it's not.
Because he's not just like a guy who you give the ball to and he gets buckets. Like, he just is such a good catch and shooter. Like, he's so good at planting his feet and making a bad shot look like a good shot.
And he is such a goober-looking dude.
Oh,
like,
not really.
You don't think so?
Not
I think
really,
he looks weird.
I think Timmy looks way weirder than Kisper.
They both look so weird. They both, I agree. I think Timmy looks weird too.
Yeah.
They just don't look like college hoopers to me.
Livers definitely deserves some love for this award, but it'll go to Kisper.
Yeah, definitely.
Karl Malone, Power Forward of the Year. By the way, we do not like Karl Malone around here.
F Karl Malone.
All my homies hate Karl Malone. But anyways, the finalists are Trace Jackson Davis from Indiana, Drew Timme from Gonzaga, Jeremiah Robinson Earl from Illinois, Justin Champagne, I don't really know how you pronounce his name, from Pittsburgh. He's really good. Champagne or something. And Sandrew, this is another one that I'm not going to be able to pronounce. They call him Mamu from Seton Hall. Have you seen him play at all? He's like 7 foot, and he plays like point guard for him pretty much. Yeah,
what?
Yeah. He's very good. His last name is like 20 letters long, but they just call him Mamu.
That's dope.
But this one will probably be Trace Jackson Davis or Drew Timme. But what I've been reading is that Trace Jackson Davis will probably win the award. So.
See, yeah, I'm a big Timme fan.
Yeah, it'll be one of those two, because it could be Timme, though, because Timme probably, if any of those guys from Gonzaga were to win like Player of the Year, it would probably be Timme. So Timmy might win it.
I like watching Timmy. He play makes really well from that big man spot. He passes the ball really well, and they like to run their offense through him quite a bit.
And Justin Champagne, I don't know how I'm pronouncing his name wrong, so sorry, from Pittsburgh, but he had a super good game against Duke, had like 34 against them earlier this year. He has his twin brother goes to a smaller D1 school and is absolutely dominating there too, like Eastern Kentucky or something like that. So shout out to them. And then for the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Center of the Year finalists, we have Kofi Coburn, Luka Garza, Trayvon Williams, Evan Mobley, and Charles Bassey out of Western Kentucky. I think we know who's going to win this
Luka.
one. But I do think Dickinson did get snubbed.
Yeah,
from
me
it.
too. No, I completely agree.
But, I mean, what are you going to do?
I can't believe they had Trayvon Williams over Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah, I mean, Charles Bassey, too. Like, he's good, but he plays for Western Kentucky. Like,
yeah, like, come on now.
Dickinson's going up against Coburn and Garza.
like every other night.
And every other night.
And Trace Jackson Davis. Every other night. Man, those are, I mean, that team right there, you take those five, they're nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Luka Garza probably should run away with that award.
Probably, yeah. So, I mean, college basketball is heating up right at the best time right now. I'm super excited. Let's talk about some NBA, though.
Yeah. I think that wraps up college basketball.
Yeah. So in the NBA right now, it is almost all-star game, like we were talking about it earlier. The LeBron and the Lakers, the Suns are now second in the West, by the way, after beating the Lakers last night. LeBron is not going to play tonight in their last game before the All-Star break. So we'll see how things go there. But I thought that since we are at the All-Star break, why don't we do our All-Star break like awards, or at least our who would win all the awards right now if the season were to end?
Yep.
Let's just hop right into it. Let's start with the lower tier ones.
Coach of the Year.
Start with Coach of the Year. Yep.
Coach of the Year, I think there's three guys here. My guy is Quinn Snyder. Nobody expected the Jazz to be the 1 seed. Under 10 losses going into the All-Star break. They're unreal. They're elite. My honorable mention isn't actually even the Suns coach. I don't know who it is.
Monty Williams.
Yeah. My honorable mention is Doc Rivers, coming right into the Philadelphia 76ers, and really not a whole lot of roster changes other than Seth Curry for the most part and Danny Green, but this team is nuts.
Yeah.
But I gave it to Quinn Snyder.
I went with Doc Rivers for Coach of the Year just because he is first year in Philadelphia. My honorable mentions were Quinn Snyder and Monty Williams, actually. But, yeah, I went with Doc Rivers just because it's his first year in Philly. They're the number 1 seed in the East, 23-12 right now. And like you said, not a lot changed on this team roster-wise, and they are just playing a lot better than they did last year. So I'm going with Doc Rivers.
6-man?
Yep, 6-man.
6-man, I really don't think there's any debate. It's Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, it is. I didn't even write down an honorable mention.
He's future. He is Lou Williams.
Maybe Chris Boucher, but it's Jordan Clarkson.
It's Jordan Clarkson. He comes in and he gets buckets.
Oh, yeah.
Buckets.
I like Jordan Clarkson a lot, too.
Rookie of the Year?
Let's go most improved player.
Oh, I didn't write down a most improved player. I forgot a most improved player.
Well, I'll say my most improved player. This one is pretty obvious as well. It's Jeremy Grant.
I would have picked Jeremy
Grant. Let me go over his numbers from last year and his numbers this year and just tell me that he's not the most improved player. Last year on the Nuggets, averaged 12 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, 1.2 assists. This year, he's averaging 23.4 points per game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, almost a steal and over a block a game, shooting 43% from the field, 36% from downtown. I don't know how he's not the most improved player. The only other guy I think who you could maybe say is maybe Jaylen Brown, just because he has made a pretty big jump. He's averaging like 6 more points per game, a couple more assists. And they do like to give it to guys who make the All-Star game, like Brandon Ingram got it last year.
Pascal.
They like to give it to first-year All-Stars. But I don't know. I just feel like it'd be disrespectful if Jeremy Grant didn't win.
I mean, a 13-point jump is pretty unreal. Especially from a guy who's never been a number 1 option.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he was a number 1 option, went somewhere and wasn't, and then came back. No, he just this is first time ever.
This is new. This is he like 12. Like last year probably was his career high for 12 points per game was probably his most he's ever averaged in a career.
Yeah, I would think
maybe his early Philly days maybe he averaged more.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
Yeah. Let's go to Depoy.
Depoy, I have the most versatile defender in the whole league, Ben Simmons, winning the award strictly based off his versatility. I mean, a 6'10" point guard who guards forwards and point guards. He doesn't struggle against the little guys, and he can hang with the big men. So I've got Ben Simmons. I don't know what his actual stats are.
Yeah, I didn't write him down.
They've got to be unreal.
I went with Rudy Gobert just because, I mean, he's on the best team in the NBA, and he's averaging the most blocks he's ever averaged. And he's averaging 2.8 blocks per game, leads the league, most he's ever averaged. And yeah, he's on the best team in the league, and he's like this. He runs that defense. I mean, without Rudy Gobert, the Jazz can't be a top 5 defense like they are because they run their defense through him. Mm-hmm. It's like he's like the middle linebacker, you know? Yeah, exactly. So I went with Rudy Gobert, but Ben Simmons definitely is a good candidate. I put Miles Turner as another honorable mention.
Yeah, and Miles Turner was another guy I was thinking of too. Rookie of the year?
Yep.
Rookie of the year is obvious. It's Melo Ball.
Yeah.
He's unreal. There's been talk of Tyrese Haliburton. Like, it's came back to the forefront, but it's Melo Ball.
Yeah.
Like, don't sugarcoat it. Don't get it twisted. It's Melo.
Yep. Tyrese Haliburton I only wrote one honorable mention. He was the honorable mention. But yeah, Melo Ball, averaging 15.7 points, 6.4 assists, 6 rebounds, shooting 37% from downtown, about 45% from the field. Has really just... I feel like he has exceeded expectations.
Me too.
Which is surprising because I just thought he was going to be one of them guys that just gets really hyped up and just doesn't. I definitely thought he would make the jump at some point. Not like this. Averaging 16, 6, and 6. Like, that's pretty impressive from a guy who we were saying we don't know if he'll ever be in the NBA.
Well, and the craziest part to me is it's the shooting splits.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he's scoring 16 on 30% shooting. He's shooting 45%.
Yeah.
Which is very good for
from
rookie
downtown
point
above
guard.
league average. I mean, that's better than average.
And man, is Melo fun to watch. He's always having fun.
Oh yeah,
he's never not having fun.
Him and Melo went off against each other the other night. They each had like plus 25 points. So
and on national TV, everybody heard. I don't know if it was on national TV, but it was tweeted everywhere. Everybody heard it. Carmelo is Melo. LaMelo is LaMelo.
Yeah, or Melo Ball. I like to call him Melo Ball, but Carmelo is Melo. I shouldn't have to specify that.
It's done. It's over.
MVP. This is like the only award that really is like, who is it? Because all the other ones I feel like it's between 2 guys for all of them. MVP, there's plenty of options here. There's like 4 guys I think you could go with.
And I'm going with Joel Embiid. He's on my fantasy team, so I've gotten to watch him a lot closer than most of the other guys. I wouldn't be surprised if you had LeBron, because again, he's on your fantasy team. You've gotten to watch him very closely. But Joel Embiid has like balled 40-point games often and 15 rebound games often. Yeah. He is very, very good this year. And he's a defensive monster in his 3-ball. He's shooting like 40% from 3 this year. Yeah. Which is scary. I mean, he got Hakeem Olajuwon comparisons coming into the league. Well, now you got Hakeem Olajuwon with a 3-ball. So good luck.
I think that, and then, a center hasn't won an MVP since Shaq too, which I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think. I mean, not counting like power
Dirk
forwards.
Or Tim.
Yeah, but just center. Like, I think Shaq's the last one to do it. So, there's a lot of options. Like, you can go with Embiid. Jokic is obviously there as well. I think his team success is the only thing really holding him back right now because his numbers are for sure there. LeBron obviously is there. But I'm going with this guy. I'm going with James Harden for MVP. James Harden is really, it's pretty like cool. I guess cool is not a good enough word. It is pretty like mind-blowing how versatile he's become as far as a basketball player. Like, he really was like, when he got traded to Brooklyn, we were literally saying like, man,
will it work?
Can he change his game to play with KD? I can't believe we even questioned that.
He's the point guard of the team.
Yes.
I mean, he literally
Harden's
plays point
averaging
guard.
25 a game, 11 assists, which leads the NBA, 7.7 rebounds, shooting 48% from the field, 40% from 3. He doesn't miss many games either, and a lot of these games are without KD hasn't played in a while. Kyrie's been sitting out. Brooklyn's 23-13 right now, half game out of the 1 seed in the East. And like I said, it's just crazy to think that we even questioned, could James Harden play with these guys, because he shows that he was really, if you would have told me like a while ago in Houston, like earlier in the season, that he would change his game, that I didn't expect that. Harden to me was always just a guy who's going to average above 30 a game because he gets his shots. And obviously he's still averaging 25, but he really has changed his game.
Well, and he doesn't miss much. He only takes good shots now in those step backs. You don't see a lot of bad shots out of Harden going in. And
his floater game's crazy,
it's
too.
nuts. And he is so good at playmaking. Like, it is unreal watching him play. James Harden's so much fun to watch this year.
Yeah, and what's crazy too is I saw a picture the other day, and it showed the 1 and 2 seeds in the East, and it's Philly and Brooklyn, and then it showed the bottom 2 teams in the NBA 5 years ago, and it was Philly and Brooklyn. It said, what a change 5 years can do. Keep your heads up, like bad
Pistons,
teams.
Timberwolves,
but like
and
Pistons, like for real though, I mean, we're in the start of a because Timberwolves, I don't know, because they're in a weird spot. But like the Pistons do have a bright-ish future. They're in the right path.
So compare their.
They just need they need one of their rookies to become a superstar. You look at Joel Embiid.
Let's compare this team to the Brooklyn Nets team 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I think this team looks like it has a better future.
But also Brooklyn Nets are a high market team that's going to get free agents. Detroit really won't unless like I said, our draft picks become stars, and then you'll have free agents going to Detroit. But we just need one of our draft picks to become a Joel Embiid.
Yep. We need a Cade Cunningham or a Jalen Green or Jalen Suggs to turn out.
Definitely. Just to become end up being a top, 15 player in the NBA, an perennial all-star type guy like that. We really do need that bad. So, I mean, anything else you want to talk about, or is that pretty much wrap it up?
I think that wraps up.
Yeah, this was a fun episode because I'm just so tuned into the Big Ten and college basketball. Like, I'm really tuned into college basketball in general, but Big Ten specifically, like, I'm such a huge fan of. And once tournament comes, obviously we're going to be predicting a lot of stuff about the tournament. We're going to be telling you our brackets, and I'm super excited for because we didn't even talk about NFL today.
Yeah, exactly.
And NFL offseason is almost here. So
yeah, and once we get out here, I'm going to go watch some Mamu highlights.
Yeah,
I want to see what this guy looks like.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Like he is.
I'll have to watch
some champagne.
I don't know.
The G is silent. I think it's champagne. But watch his highlights too. Mainly watch his game against Duke because he had like 35 against them and he dominated them.
Yeah,
so
I'll watch that game.
Thanks for listening. We will be back Saturday.
Peace.